everybody? Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. This is battle report number 57. This is game one of a tournament I went to. It was a local store tournament in Baton Rouge, which is a 4-hour drive for me. But it was actually not a bad drive at all. This game is awesome. This tournament was awesome because I got to play armies I normally don't face. Starting off with this one was me, Lord Tremendous of the Ogre Cons, versus the Ret of the Beast Herds. And I don't think I've ever faced the Beast Herds in 9th Age, so this was a first for me. It was really exciting, and this is an excellent game. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes. Here's my list, and for the most part, it's what you've seen before. I just added 500 points to my 4,500 point army. It really wasn't a big deal. I have my Great Khan Blackshade. He's my general. He's got Jack's Pickaxe, Hardened Shield, Talisman of Greater Shielding, and Horde Master. He's a 2-up, 5-up, monster-killing madman, and that's why he's my general. I, of course, still have my Khan. He's my BSB. He's got the Heart Ripper, the Charm of Cursed Iron, and the Troll Eater. Big name. I gave him the Charm of Cursed Iron because I had the points for it and I thought it would be a good idea. I have my Shaman, Skaz, Skaven and AZ. He's got 3 learned spells, the Sprout of Rebirth, and Shamanism because he's perfect the way he is. And last but certainly not least is my Mammoth Hunter, Lord Tremendous. He's got his Ogre Crossbow, the Razor Blade, the Armor of Fortune, the Aurochs Charm, Headhunter, and he's on his trusty Tusker, the War Teddy. Yeah, he'll melt your face. For my core choices, I have a unit of 7 tribesmen, the good old boys. They've got full command, Iron Fist, and a Banner of Discipline, and I had to give them full command in order to try to make up my core value, and I'm fine with that. I have a second unit of 7 tribesmen, the Conquerors. They also have full command and Iron Fist, and again, they got a unit champion, so I could try to make my core value minimums. And I have 18 scraplings with a musician and bows, again, to make my core requirements. Actually, I'm becoming quite fond of the scraplings. They shoot bows now. They're pretty amazing. I'm working on a name for them right now, so if you have any ideas, I'm listening. For my special choices, I start off with 7 Scrapling Trappers, the favored pets. Yeah, I just realized in this list that 7 seems to be the magic number. It's weird. And I took a couple of Saber-Toothed Tigers for chaff. One, of course, is Bow Wowzer, and the other one is just a Saber-Toothed Tiger with no name, because he's the expendable one. And then, of course, I have my 3 Tusker Cavalry, who I also need to figure out a name for. They have a banner, great weapons, and the war standard. I am toying with trying to find 10 points to give them the flaming banner. We'll see. For this tournament, I brought back in the Powder Keg category my Thunder Cannon of Doom. And then under the Chain Beast category, I, of course, have my Frost Mammoth, Rufus. He's got a couple of Ogre Crossbows on the guys that he tows around with him, but man, this guy makes my army when I use him correctly. And then, of course, I have my Rock-a-Rock Elf Eater. The rider has a lance, and of course the rider is Shy, or Shy Hammer, whichever. Oh man, wait, this guy is amazing. That's going to do it for my list. I'm going to post my opponent's list now, play some music. Feel free to pause it whenever you'd like to see what he took. my spells, which are exactly what you're looking at. And here's deployment. Well, my opponent won the roll, or he ended up placing first, and he dropped everything that he had. So I kind of piled up over there to meet him in combat, because that's kind of my thing. Magicking him to death just probably wasn't going to happen. So I put Lord Tremendous and my cannon on the left side there. The cannon's going to shoot down the gap and hopefully hit a whole bunch of stuff and kill a whole bunch of stuff. Lord Tremendous is going to shoot through the gap. The ruined-looking thing in the middle, we ended up deciding was impassable. And then my trappers in the ruins in the middle of the table on the left side there, that's actually just ruins. So they're in there and they've trapped it. So if anything goes in there, it's going to probably take a wound with no armor save. My Tusker Cav and the Conquerors were in the middle there getting ready to just destroy anything they could. And then I've got the Saber-Tooth Tigers in between Rufus and the Conquerors. They got a forest in front of them just in case he tries to shoot at him or something like that. They're going to redirect. That's going to be their jobs today. Sell their souls for a beautiful flank charge, hopefully. Meanwhile, Rufus is there to throw that -3 initiative wherever it needs to go. The good old boys with Black Shade are in the middle to give off his Leadership 9 bubble and hopefully destroy whatever comes into him. He's got Elf Eater and Shyhammer backing him up right next to him. And then I just threw the Scraplings on the side because I was thinking if his chariot goes after the Scraplings, he'll be out of position way over on the right side, and that's perfectly fine. Skaz is behind the good old boys, and one of the critical mistakes I made when deploying was forgetting about his 3 ambushing units of, Wild Horns or whatever they are. So, yeah, you'll see how that comes back to bite me in the ass. But that's pretty much it for deployment. Here's top of 1 after movement, and like I said, my opponent got to go first, and he came forward. His dogs fire forward to try to redirect, bait me out, and everything like that. And the only thing I was worried about in this situation was Elf Eater failing his frenzy check. But I figured if he didn't fail his frenzy check, there was no reason to move anything else. I was going to let his dogs cause a traffic jam because there was no need for me to shoot forward right away. His magic isn't offensive, and his shooting, he's got a couple of guys with magic weapons that shoot the Impaler and Skull Splitter. So there's no reason for me to move up. I could just pelt him for a little while and try to get, more ideal attacks against him. So I was going to let the dogs stay right there. There was no reason to even target the dogs at the moment. And I was fine with him moving forward. But yeah, that's it for movement. Nothing really happens for the rest of his turn. He does get a handful of his totem spells off, but they're not going to really matter or anything like that. His shooting does nothing, so we go over here to bottom of 1 after movement. And again, I don't really need to move. Elf Eater passes his frenzy check, which is awesome. And I move my trappers out to harass his chariot. Lord Tremendous moves up 8 to fire down that little choke point there and do some damage, hopefully. The cannon moved a little bit to get a better angle at stuff, and that's it. I saw no reason to move anything else. During the magic phase, I'm able to get Cheapskate back on the table, which is awesome. In fact, my opponent let me get this spell off for 2 reasons. 1, he wanted to have Cheapskate in the video. 2, I cast a damn spell with overwhelming power, and I miscast 16. Yeah, I threw 4 dice at the spell. I was feeling lucky, and apparently my instincts are trash. So, yeah. I got Cheapskate on the table, and it's going to cause Skaz an arm and a leg. In the end, I'm able to dodge all the other bad things that happen, amnesia and burn the witch and all that stuff, but I end up taking 2 wounds. No, I'm sorry. I didn't dodge the 2 wounds from the 15 up part of the miscast. I took those, and I was able to dodge amnesia, and I didn't take any wounds from the dice he threw at me for the miscast, 1 up. So that was good, but it cost Skaz half his wounds in turn 1 or 2. It's bad. So we go into the shooting phase, because I'm all done with magic, and Cheapskate blows his breath weapon all over the chariot and does a single wound, which, hey, I'll take it. And then my Scraplings fire at the same chariot and put another wound on it. So, all in all, successful shooting phase for the little stuff. With no other mistakes for me to make, we go over here to top of 2 after movement, and I realize, oh yeah, he's got a bunch of ambushers. Crap! So, yeah, all 3 come on the table, no problem. They all come in behind me, threatening Skaz and my cannon. Well, damn. For the rest of his movement, his dogs come running up to kind of block the way there, which I'm fine with because it's also blocking his charges for the most part. On the left side, well, in the center of the table there, his chariot and his minotaurs kind of come over the fence, and everything else more or less stays where it's at. The chariot on the right side that took a couple of wounds turns to face Cheapskate because he knows it's coming, and that's significant, but that's it for his movement. During his magic phase, he gets a couple of the little totem spells off, but again, nothing serious because it's not going to see, none of them that he got the spells off in are going to see combat during, the next turn or whatever. But during the shooting phase, I believe it is the Impaler, and he chucks it at the good old boys and is able to do a wound, which is kind of rude. It's kind of rude. Over here, though, the Wild Horns throw all of their dirty laundry at Skaz and end up cracking him right in the head, causing another wound. And I think they actually caused 2 wounds, which almost killed Skaz, but he does have a 4-up regen, and I was able to save 1, which is exactly right. But, oh, man. Skaz is trying. Skaz is trying to survive, and it's ooh. It's going to be close. With that, we go. There's no comments. We go over to bottom of 2 after movement, and I don't do a lot. Lord Tremendous does charge into the chariot and make it. That was cool. I'm hoping he can finish him off. It depends. I am able to pass my frenzy check with Elf Eater, and I move him back to go after the Wild Horns because they need to die. My chariot, there's no way for me to get him away from this charge, and so I just kind of accept it. And I back up a little bit so that if they do charge my chariot, they're going to be out of place and not getting anything else's way. And then with my Tusker Cav and my Conquerors, I decide, you know what, I'm going to charge his dogs, and maybe I can get lucky, and one of these units can slam into his Minotaurs. I know they're lightly armored. I know they're only toughness 4. Impact hits alone, I should be able to kill 1 or 2 and take them out. That's the hope, and that's the plan. Other than that, not a whole lot. I left the good old boys right where they were because his other unit of Minotaurs were too far away for me to overrun into, and I didn't feel like getting rid of the dogs just yet. Skaz moves away so that he can't be shot at anymore. One dog runs up to block a chariot. I'm trying to get it to go into the forest because, like an idiot, I don't realize that their chariots have the Forest Strider rule. So what can you do? And the other dog falls back because I want him to get out of the way, and I don't want to lose him to any lingering, panic checks. As for the trappers, they move up to shoot a little bit at the Minotaurs, hopefully do a wound, maybe 2 if I'm super lucky, and, make it so that they're nice and easy for the Conquerors and my Tusker Cav to take out in the overrun. And that's it for movement. There's a better picture of Lord Tremendous slamming into the chariot, and the Tusker Cav and the Conquerors slamming into the dogs. Oh, and there's a better picture of Cheapskate slamming into the other chariot because, hey, why not? He's got a chance to take it out. It does have 2 wounds on it already. During the magic phase, I get Swarm of Insects off on his Minotaurs. The idea here was just to pull out his Dispel dice. Didn't work. He lets it go off, and I was able to slip a wound through on him, and they are at -1 to their ballistic skill now until my next magic phase, which is about as good as it sounds. Over here, I get Savage Fury off on the Conquerors, and that's good. Gives them extra attacks, and hopefully if they can get into the Minotaurs, that'll be relevant. And then, believe it or not, I'm able to get Cthulhu on the table. Oh, man. I had a few extra dice. I was like, I'm going to try it. I got him on the table, and I was thrilled. I put him over here by the Wild Horns because I figured, hey, if I can take some of them out, it's fewer hits for him. It's fewer attacks, fewer ranks, and all that other stuff if it gets into combat. So why not? And I just love getting totemic summons on the table. During the shooting phase, the Scraplings take careful aim at the Minotaurs and shoot again and are able to slip 2 wounds through on them, killing a Minotaur. So the Scraplings have almost paid for themselves. I'm telling you, with the little bows on them and everything, these guys are super dangerous. Over here, Cthulhu's Breath Weapon attack kills 3 of the Wild Horns. It wasn't as many as I would have liked to kill, but hey, it was better than none. I'll take what I can get. And then we go into combat. Lord Tremendous doesn't do terrible, but he doesn't do great. I'm only able to get 2 wounds through on him because I'm just rolling terrible and my opponent's rolling the saves. In return, I actually take a wound. Charge and 2 wounds to wound, I win by 2. And he actually breaks. He gets away. He doesn't take any dangerous terrain, or he doesn't take any wounds to dangerous terrain for going over the barrier. Either do I. However, he does get away. He went 8, I went 7. The Minotaurs couldn't care less, and damn it. But it is what it is. So we're there, and at least I won this combat. In combat over here, I easily kill the dogs with impact hits, and then when I overrun, the Conquerors needed a 10, and they got it, and they made it. And the Tusker Cav needed a 10, and they got it and made it. So I don't have a picture of it, but both units make it into the Minotaurs. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Then over here, Cheapskate does another wound at a chariot, takes one in return. I win by 1 because I charged. He makes his break check, and we stick. So we go over here to top of 3 after movement, and as you can see, like I said, the Tusker Cav and the, what's it called, Conquerors made it into the Minotaurs. In return, in his turn anyway, his chariot charges the dogs and makes it. Hit 1 unit of wild horns charge my cannon and make it. There's a shock. His Minotaurs and his chariot charge the good old boys. They can't both get around the dogs, but they both make it. Well, the Minotaurs make it. The chariot doesn't. It fails. So honestly, I'd have preferred the chariot because I knew taking the Minotaurs on the charge was a bad call. I didn't realize how bad it was going to be, and I make a terrible mistake in a minute, and you'll see what it is, and it's very costly. So just stand by, you'll see. Other than that, his unit with his general, his little longhorns, whatever they are in the middle there, they kind of move up just a little bit, not much. They wanted the charge, but they couldn't get past the chariot, and they couldn't get past the dog in order to wheel and get in there. He kept running into stuff, so it was an impossible charge. And then the wild horn beast, or whatever it was that was in the forest, it charged up and slammed into the rear of the Conquerors. So not great at all. And to make matters worse, the chariot that Lord Tremendous beat in combat last turn rallied and turned to face him. So things are going to get messy really, really fast, and that's it for movement. There's a better picture of his Minotaur slamming into my good old boys, and that's not a good look. And there's a better picture of his far chariot failing, his near chariot slamming into my dog, and his, I don't remember what it's called now, the little beast guy that jumped up in the forest, charging the rear of the Conquerors. That is not great. Not great at all, because once his chariot kills my dog and overruns into my Conquerors, I'm screwed. I did not set this up well at all. And there's a better picture of his ambushing unit ambushing my cannon, which is fine. My cannon really failed me this game. It shot twice. First time it missed. Second time it rolled a 1 to wound, and the other wounds were irrelevant. And it's kind of disappointing, to say the least. During the magic phase, the only thing that gets any kind of totem spells off are the 3 units of wild horns, and they get like a +1 attack, +1 to hit, or something like that. So we go into shooting, and his wild horns throw a bunch of their dirty laundry at Cthulhu, and are able to do 2 wounds. It was a lot of shots. And then we go into combat. These guys beat the piss out of my cannon. They do 4 wounds to it. In return, I only do 2. 4 wounds, flank, super flank, banner, charge to 2 wounds. I auto break, and I get run down significantly. It was a really bad flea roll. Oh well, the cannon was dead anyway, but they got him. Oh god. Then we go over here, and I realized after the game was over that I forgot that Rufus's -3 initiative was 6 inches around or whatever. So the Minotaurs should have been like initiative 1. Instead, with paired weapons and everything, the Minotaurs went at initiative 4, went before all my guys. They have Primal Fury. They got to re-roll their failed hits. He got all of his attacks, and as you can see, murdered 6 ogres. I really screwed this up, and I'm mad at myself for doing it, but my opponent did exactly what that unit should have done, and he taught me a valuable lesson about just how dangerous Minotaurs are now. My counterattacks were pathetic. I did like 3 wounds back with my general and my unit champion left. I lost by 1,004,000,000,000. We did the math. I break, but I get away. The Minotaurs instead end up running into Skaz, who made his break check. He did not get hit in the rear, it was just so that they could line up. And Rufus also makes his break check. Oh, God, I wish I had realized what I've done. But, oh well, you know, can't go back in time yet. I'm working on that technology. And I got what I deserve for being an idiot. Over here, his chariot has absolutely no trouble taking out my dog and overrunning into the Conquerors. And it's wash, rinse, repeat. He eats me alive. The only saving grace I have, and it's very little, is I'm able to kill 3 Minotaurs on this one because the Tusker Cav, who did take a full casualty, were able to put some serious wounds on the Minotaurs. My BSB tried to attack the chariot and just, it was pathetic. I think I did a wound to it. My unit champion, who was bleeding from every orifice he had, tried to do some wounds, but I think maybe he did 1 or 2. It was all the Tuskers and the Riders. It was really, really bad. I auto-break here as well. And everything gets run down. The Minotaurs catch the Tusker Cav, the chariot catches the Conquerors, and the little beastie thing is just thrilled to be a part of it. The chariot also slams into Rufus, just to add insult to injury. Oh, I'm getting my butt kicked, and I deserve every minute of it. The one saving grace is that Cheapskate is able to kill the chariot he's in combat with. So, that's awesome. At least I got some points. I'm not going to get goose-egged this game. And then we go over here to bottom of 3 after movement. Oh, goodness. So, I know I've lost. I'm very angry at myself. I do not realize what I did with Rufus yet. The game is over by the time it occurs to me. So, that's just how stupid I am. So, we go, just try now to save face a little bit. So, out of curiosity, I send my remaining saber-tooth tiger into the weird branch wraith beast thing because I thought it might be fun. I send Cthulhu into the wild horns with his random movement because, again, thought it might be fun. Elf Eater, let's go, and goes into the wild horn ambushing unit on the bottom right, and that is going to be fun. Lord Tremendous goes after the chariot to finish what he started, and Cheapskate makes a long distance attempt at the other chariot and misses him by about 3 inches, so it was actually very close. Cheapskate is always pulling it off for me. Meanwhile, my trappers start going after the Minotaurs. They do fail their march check, but they do their 4 inches towards the Minotaurs, because with a little luck and the amount of shots they put out, maybe I can kill another one. That'd be fun. And that is it for movement. There's been a picture of Lord Tremendous slamming into that chariot, and hopefully he finishes him off this turn. There's been a picture of Elf Eater slamming into the Wild Horns, which is also a really, really good thing. And there's a picture of Cthulhu slamming into the Wild Horns. He's not going to do well. He's probably going to get killed, but hey, any points he could possibly get me are worthy, because he's just going to get shot off the table if I don't charge. During the magic phase, I'm able to get another totemic summon on the table, and I don't even have a name for this guy, so I'm just thrilled. It's like, yay, another toy! So, hey, at least I got that going for me. And then we go into combat. Needless to say, Cthulhu gets cut down before he can really do anything. It's a shame, but hey, it was worth a shot. Over here, the dog actually doesn't do terrible. He charges and takes, it doesn't do anything to him, but he takes only a 1 wound in return. It's charged to a wound. We're stalemated. Not terrible. I was just curious about this more than anything. Then over here, Rufus doesn't do terrible either. He weathers the charge from this chariot, and it's one of the bigger chariots. And in return, he puts some wounds on this thing. I think we stalemate. I think he does 3 wounds to me. He does 3 wounds to me. I do 3 wounds to him. He wins by 1, but I think I stick it out, which is kind of impressive, all things considered. I'm proud of Rufus, even though I completely forgot how to use it. Over here, though, Skaz, no fault of his own at all, he dies to impact hits, and that was just my piss-poor playing. My opponent did everything right, and this isn't Skaz's fault, this is completely mine. I'm sorry, Skaz, I actually failed you this game. Elf Eater and Shy, on the other hand, mutilate the ambushing Wild Horns. After all is said and done, they killed all but like 2 or 3 of those guys. They broke and got ran down, and Elf Eater ended up going off the table. However, my opponent was rolling hot and was able to do 5 wounds to Elf Eater, and I only saved 1. Holy crap! Poor Elf Eater. It's just been a poorly played game by me this one, but I'm having a lot of fun. I'm laughing a lot, so what more can you ask for? And then Lord Tremendous is able to destroy the chariot, and I know the wound marker is on there. He does heal it with Headhunter, so that's really awesome. And then because I really have no intention of charging with him for the rest of the game, because the game's about to be called due to time, I just combat reform him like this, and I figured I'd just shoot next turn or something. I had no intention of charging. So at this point, we get told that this is going to be our last turn due to time, so here's top before after movement, and it all just comes down to him trying to wipe me off the table, which he could very easily do. His Minotaurs, after they killed Skaz, overran off the table because they're frenzied. They had to, so they're over there. They come back on the table and just kind of stay put. His Longhorns with his character in BSB, his general in BSB anyway, slam into Rufus to help out the chariot, and that's the end of that. The other unit of ambushing Wildhorns charges the Saber-Tooth Tiger that was still in combat with the Branch Wraith thing, which honestly I didn't see coming. I should have, I didn't, and Rufus he was dead anyway, but now he's dead. I think his chariot goes into the forest to try to get somewhere. I'm not really sure why it went in there. And the dogs turn to face the Scraplings because why not? And that's real. Oh yeah, and the other unit of Wildhorns on the left there go after the other totemic summon that's on the table. That's really it for movement. There's been a picture of all the rest of it coming down on Rufus. He doesn't deserve that. Not Rufus. This is my fault too. There's been a picture of the Wildhorn slamming into my Saber-Tooth Tiger, and that's going to go bad for Rufus. Nothing significant happens in Magic, and shooting, there's no targets, or nothing that can shoot that's not in combat, so we go into combat. And the first thing he does is kill my dog. No problem, no questions asked. I think maybe my dog gets to attack and kills one Wildhorn, but other than just a pride thing, it was mostly pointless. They overrun easily and hit Rufus. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. We go into combat, and Rufus actually does incredibly well yet again. He is able to withstand all the attacks. He tries to kill the BSB, but the riders try to attack the BSB and fail. Rufus tries to take out as many of those little Wildhorn bastards on his flank as he can, and he kills like 3. I'm not rolling great. My stomps don't do a whole lot. I get 1 stomp and I roll a 1 to wound, so it's kind of par for the course at this point. I lose by an incredibly significant amount. I think I auto-break, and I don't make it off the table. I run like 10, which would have taken me off the table, but as you can see, the little Wildhorn unit, they're off the table too because they rolled boxcars. And believe it or not, I think the chariot rolled a 10 as well. So Rufus got caught twice, and man, my opponent is kicking my ass, which is exactly what he should be doing. So, with pretty much my entire army dead, we go over here to bottom of 4 after movement, which we were told was going to be the last turn, and what? There's really nothing to do. The little crazy bastard, Totemic Summon on the left, he moves as far as he can towards the Minotaurs in order to shoot his breath weapon at them. The Trappers move up to do the same. Lord Tremendous just pivots to do the same. The hope is maybe I can do enough wounds to vape the unit. Not that it's going to win me the game, but I'd like to take out as many of those cow bastards as I can. Cheapskate, he's on a roll. He goes after the chariot and hits it in the flank. God, I love that model. And the coup de grace, the epic part right here is the Scraplings. The Scraplings charge the dogs because why not? I could use 80 points. The dogs flee and go about 9 inches. Well, the Scraplings I roll boxcars for, and they catch the dogs no problem and end up right where they're at, which is hilarious. They're insignificant, nobody cares, but I love the fact that my Scraplings killed a Minotaur and were able to destroy a unit of dogs on the charge. Give it up to the Scraplings, right? There's been a picture of the Scraplings chasing down the dogs and Cheapskate slamming into the chariot. During the shooting phase, my Trappers, Lord Tremendous, and the Totemic Summon with no name all just empty everything they've got in the Minotaurs, and we're able to kill 2 more. So, wasn't enough to finish off the unit. It was a shot in the dark anyway, but hey, it was pretty awesome that they did that much. I almost got a full unit of Minotaurs. I feel good about that. We go into combat, and Cheapskate's able to do no well, I think he does one wound to him. No, he does no wounds to him. But in return, he gets no wounds put on him because he's mother effing Cheapskate, and you don't mess with him. Understood? Anyway, charging a flank to nothing. I win by 2, but because his BSB was still alive, he makes his break check and sticks, which was actually really funny. And there it is. There's the end of the game. Even if we had gone the extra 2 rounds, maybe I would have been able to get another unit of Wild Horns with Elf Eater. More than likely, though, he'd ended up in those Minotaurs and maybe killed a couple more before they cut him down for his trouble. Cheapskate probably would have gotten beat up by that chariot eventually, and Lord Tremendous maybe would have gone in and finished off the 2 remaining Minotaurs. Maybe. It wouldn't have changed the outcome of anything. I would have still lost this game, but you know what? It was a fun game. I got my teeth kicked down my throat. I used my ogres as live feed for Minotaurs, but it was a fun game. My opponent was cool the entire time. He didn't know me from Adam. He could have been a jerk. He could have rubbed it in, but not at all. Not at all. He was cool the whole time. We were laughing. We were having a good time, making jokes about it on both ends. This was a lot of fun. I would play this guy again in a heartbeat. And if you get the opportunity, you're in Baton Rouge at Little Wars, and you get the opportunity to play the Beast Herds guy, do it. You'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I made plenty of mistakes. I underestimated the Minotaurs completely, and I paid for it just as justice would demand. And you know what? We'll get to the recap in a second because God knows this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
So, needless to say, it was a defeat for Lord Tremendous. I got to feed the Minotaurs. This was a win-loss draw game and with objectives. There was nothing else. It was kill the general was the objective, which my opponent achieved, and I did not. So there was no point in totaling anything up because he had won. I lost Blackshade, Khan, Skaz, all my tribesmen, both my saber-toothed tigers, my Tusker Cav, my cannon, and Rufus. Holy crap, did I get my butt kicked. Like I said at the end of the game, my opponent was awesome. I really enjoyed playing against him. It was fun. He was an intelligent opponent. He was a good opponent. He had a solid list, and he ate my lunch with it. He literally went over, took my food, and ate it. And there was nothing I could do. He earned it. You know, what could I do? I totally and completely underestimated how good Minotaurs are. I did not remember how good they were. I knew they were dangerous. I didn't realize just how dangerous, and it was really stupid on my part. Although, with my general, I should have gotten all my attacks because Rufus, but again, I didn't realize until after the game was over what I had screwed up, and that was very stupid on my part. It doesn't help any that the ambusher thing, I don't typically run into that at all, and so when I had 3 units of 18 guys show up in my rear in turn 2, it just completely threw me for a loop, which was, again, really smart on my opponent, so he deserved this victory hand over fist. Simple. Hands down. All the things. He deserved it. Cheapskate and the other 2 totemic summons in this game did really well. He took out a chariot. They really helped me take out a little bit here and there to weaken enemies. Had I played a little bit better, that could have really helped me out. But hey, better than nothing. Bleh. I wish more of my army had done as well, but perhaps if I had been smarter and played well, it would have happened, like my underutilization of Rufus. I'm just so upset with myself. Like I said, couldn't get my head on straight. Just got thrown for one loop after another. My opponent was in my head in deployment. And he knew his army better than I knew mine. And like I said, this man earned this victory hands down. But of course, this was a fantastic opponent. This was a fantastic game, and I would play this guy in a heartbeat given the opportunity. I would love a rematch. Just a fantastic game. All in all, even though I got my butt kicked, I would love to play this game again, even knowing that the outcome is probably me getting my butt kicked. And if you're wondering why we didn't do the interview recap, it's because I didn't have a tripod with me for the camera. I didn't have really a space in the store for me to go where it was quiet enough to do one, and I didn't feel comfortable asking complete strangers if they wanted to chat with me on film. So we're back to my old recaps, which I hope you guys are okay with. Alright, I want to take this moment to thank all the people that sponsor me financially through Patreon, PayPal, and other means. I have a lot of people that contribute to the channel, and I really do appreciate it. Some of them wish to remain anonymous, and I'm perfectly okay with that, but these are the individuals that allow me to thank them properly. Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, Daniel Jolson, and Caillou Choi. Thank you guys all, one and all. Really do appreciate everything that you give me, and I hope I continue to be worthy of your patronage, even after playing like this. Seriously though, guys, thank you. But yeah, that's going to do it for this battle report, guys. Number 57 is in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.